Hello, welcome to this special episode of Beyond the Barclay, live from Luton Airport. Just heard that snigger in the background. Cheers, gents. So I'm obviously joined with Morgan.
Hi guys.
How are you?
I'm really well. I'll never forget the theme tune that we have. I think when I die and I have people coming to my funeral, and the entry music will be Beyond the Barclay / Supermarket Sweep theme.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's an image that we all wanted in our heads, I think, to be honest. So yeah. Good to know.
I'm not naked. I'm dead, Jez.
True, but I mean, I'll probably still be knocking around, so I'll make sure that happens.
Please do.
Yeah. I'm currently stood in the, I don't know how you describe it, the auditorium of the Luton Dart train, which is a shuttle train from Luton Airport to Luton Parkway train station, waiting for the shuttle train to arrive.
We've got a guest on the show, Jez.
I know, but I was building up to it because it's such an elusive guest. So I suppose we better introduce him. Jack Fisher, better known as @Totally Tettey on Twitter. How are you, Jack?
I'm very well, guys. How are you both?
I'm fine. I'm just resting up. Jez is probably sweating profusely from trying to run around Luton Airport trying to make this podcast work.
The train's arrived, gents, just to let you know.
Oh, that's exciting.
Excellent.
Good. So, without further ado, I think we should jump into the questions. Well, actually, no, before we do that, let's hear a little bit more about Jack. So, Jack, where are you from? What do you do for a living? And
it's like blind date, Jack.
Right, I'm from Sheringham, been there all my life, lived there all there. I'm 26 now. I don't think there's much else really to say, you know.
Do you prefer Sheringham or Cromer?
Oh, Sheringham all the way, God. let's not take the piss here.
I'm more of a Cromer boy, Jack.
On that note, thanks guys, it's been a pleasure to talk to you all.
I think the reality is, unfortunately, Sheringham's got a better vibe, but the fish and chips in Cromer's better. It truly is, and you know this, Jack. You know this.
Well, in my opinion, number one's slightly overrated. It's good.
I agree with that.
There's better out there. Mary Jane's, I prefer.
Yeah.
So you bought yourself back there, Jack, really well, to be fair.
Oh, excellent, yeah.
You were teetering on the cusp.
I don't have an issue with Cromer. It's good. You know, Norfolk's great in general. So, I won't hold too much of a grudge.
Well, I mean, as long as you've still got your house and you're not being ousted by second homeowners. No, we're not going to go into that. It's not for now. This is a sports podcast. Okay, so Jack, tell us a little bit more about Totally Tettey, your pseudonym on Twitter and I assume Instagram.
Yeah, to be fair, I don't really use. I did have a Totally Tettey Instagram account, but I never really used it, only for about a couple of months, because I think that was when my Twitter got suspended for a bit, because I was trying to change my age for some reason, and I got caught signing up.
That's like me on dating apps. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, I think it was. I signed up this account I've had it since 2011, so I would have been 12. And
okay.
Obviously, you can't sign up if you're under 13. And I decided one day, I think it was the day after we won the promotion against Blackburn,
right,
2019. And I was just fiddling around with the profile, and I realised, I can't get back on my account. And I was locked for about 2 months, and I decided to join on Instagram, and I had to create a backup for Twitter. It's basically the same username, except I had an underscore at the end. And I was trying to claim back all the just stuck, and I thought I better not change it, otherwise people probably won't recognise who I am. Yeah. Not like I'm anyone big and all that, but I think it just stuck, and people have known of me of that, and I've just kept it since, really.
You've always got to think of yourself as a social media giant. Like Jez says this to me like pretty much every day. He says this to me. It's like a mantra for those listening who really want to break into social media. You're amongst friends here, but yeah, Jez is always like, you need to be giant I mean, it's all right for Jez because he's 6'7", so he's
Awesome.
like Andre the Giant, the wrestler. So that sort of
Just before you
rounds
move
up.
on, Morgan,
Yeah.
I absolutely love Jack's videos. They make me laugh so much.
That's great to hear.
I think
So
the one that I know we were going to talk a little bit more later on about the certain videos, but the one that really I love is the Janulis one where he's sitting around the table Friday night dinner. I think.
I think that was Stoke at home. I think in lockdown. That must be the one.
And he broke the plate, didn't he?
Yes, that's it. Yeah.
And, yeah, it's just hilarious. But sorry, carry on, Ben.
Oh, it's fine. I mean, I think from our perspective, supporting Norwich can be a serious business, and so having a little bit of light relief on the internet, like this podcast, I suppose, it is nice. It doesn't go amiss. I think some people have will always cherish a wry smile at the sort of content that you put out. I think we've sort of covered question one where you sort of talked about Totally Tettey and how the idea came about.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for you, how did you become a Norwich City fan? And what's your earliest memory of the club?
I think it's just following on just being local, and
Yeah.
I mean, initially as a kid, I kind of liked Chelsea as well. It's bad to admit this, but I didn't follow them for too long, and I wasn't going to any games. But I think it was sort of a mixture of my uncle and my dad sort of taking me to my first game. With me being a massive nerd, I know exactly the exact date when it was. It would have been a pre-season friendly, 2007 against West Ham.
Wow. Okay.
Pretty certain we lost 2-1, which that's typical. But we would have been championship fodder anyways.
Yeah.
And that would have been when Rob Green and Dean Ashton made a return to Carrow Road, because it weren't that long when they were sold to them.
Well, that's true. Yeah. West Ham were a bit of a feeder club.
They were, yeah. No, it's from then, and I went to a couple of games that season. That would have been Huckabee and Dublin's last season, and it was only like sort of midway through the following season I got a season ticket, and obviously, unfortunately, it would have been the season we got relegated to League One.
Right.
As a 10-year-old kid, you're thinking, oh, this is not great, but you don't look back, and obviously what followed ended up being two of our greatest seasons ever, and started the whole roller coaster ride of being a Norwich fan. And it's you can't change anything. And I wouldn't, in a way, because it was some good early memories.
I think the that season that the Norwich went down to League One started the catalyst for the last however many years. Kind of like like you said, a roller coaster. I mean, we're currently on a roller coaster at the moment. And by the time this pod goes out, we would have lost against Preston 1-0 at home, with the last sort of two performances being pretty turgid. So, we're probably looking at spring now, and God knows where we are in the table at this point in time by the time people listen to it. But I think that it's really good to hear that, you're a Norfolk boy. And my family comes from part of my family comes from Cromer Way. So, it's good to hear that you have still have an allegiance to sort of your local team, as it were. Because it, like you said, it is very easy to pick. You could easily sit there and go, well, who in the Football League can I choose to support? Arsenal, Chelsea, United. Well, not so much United, but Spurs, Man City. But it's good to hear that it's still kind of alive and well. Just out of interest, in terms of North Norfolk, like, is there kind of like a big support for Norwich, given that it's not that close to the city?
I mean, when I was in school, there weren't too many Norwich fans. You had like in primary school age, you get like people just taking interest in the big six clubs. Obviously, back there would have been United, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea. High school, I sort of knew a few more Norwich fans, and I think it's sort of a bit better these days.
Yeah.
You're still going to get a fair few kids that just like these days now they'll like Man City, of course, how much they've won, but it's still pretty good. And I'll see young adulthood, as what I could say now. Obviously, I still know a fair amount of Norwich fans, and I think it's sort of gotten better in a way, but which is good. I mean, it's kind of sort of hard to pinpoint with like who follows what, because they either follow football or they don't really. But no, I think I suppose there's a fair amount that do follow.
Yeah, it's good. It's good to hear. So moving on then. So what's been Jez sort of interjected earlier, was talking about your videos. So what's been your favourite video you've made so far? I mean, I think for listeners at home, can you just give them some kind of context as to what your output is and why you've sort of done it before answering that question?
Oh, yeah, it's hard to sort of explain. They're just very chaotic. Like they are like, to sum it up simply, like it's kind of just like an alternative football highlights.
Yeah.
Of just like a collection of what's happened, and I just try and make it as funny as I could. Obviously, it's not going to please everyone because not everyone will get the humour, but just just to make it sort of a bit of an interesting way to rewatch the game that's happened. I mean, I initially was only going to do the one video, which was when we beat Ipswich 3-0. When
I remember that game. I was sat right next to Ipswich fans at Carrow Road. So when my friend Woody listens to this, who booked the tickets, thanks Woody, I nearly got skinned alive. Anyway, carry on, Jackson.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, I mean, I initially wanted to do the one video, and obviously kind of, I wouldn't say blew up, but it was like, it's probably was my best performed video. I must have got over 1,000 likes at the time, and everyone loved it. And then I think we played Preston the next game when we lost, and I was like, oh well, never mind. And then when we beat Bolton 4-0, a couple of people was like, oh, can you do another video like you did the Ipswich one? I thought, I mean, I'll give it a go, and then it just sort of just carried on. I think we had like a really massive run that time, and we won like 7 or 8 games in a row, and I just carried on doing them. I thought, actually, people are liking them, so I'll just carry on just because a little small audience, and then just. It's stuck kind of since. Every time we've won a game, I've mostly, uploaded up. Apart from these days now, because I've not had much time really, but obviously we'll get onto that discussion later on. But yeah, it's kind of just stuck really.
So what sort of, what is your kind of like, what is your take on the videos? Is it like kind of fun commentary or I mean, there's a lot of content out there that talks about tactics and so on and deep analytics of games. And I think that, in fairness to them, that's great, but there is a lot out there. And I think sometimes it can be quite overwhelming for your average listener. So what is your shtick in these videos, if you will?
Oh, Christ. I mean, it's just, as I said, like, how chaotic it is. It's just like, just follows on like the goals and the highlights, and it's just like, if anything interesting happens, I can just sort of try and find a sort of a funny way to describe it, or like a meme and relate to it. There's memes for everything these days of how the internet is, and sort of I can relate. A bit like, obviously, like we mentioned before about the Yanulis clip with him breaking the plates from Friday Night Dinner. I mean, it's just, I think it would have been when I think it was when he made a mistake, he gave the ball away, and then Stoke scored, and that's when I thought of with him being Greek and smashing trying not to be a typical stereotype, I just thought, oh, it's just sort of funny and would say harmless, but just things like that, I'm just sort of, can link in them on and just make them just a bit random and just, ropey in a way, but that's kind of best how you can describe them, really. But,
a bit like this podcast.
Especially this episode, the whole Luton Airport thing. But it's all good humour at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, I try to anchor the podcast. Jez is just like, he's.
Would you like an update, gents?
Oh, hello.
Go on then, Jez. Why not?
I've just jumped off the dart. I'm now waiting for my Uber to go back to my car that's parked in one of the little side streets. Oh, that's naughty. You shouldn't be doing stuff like that.
That's good. So, Jez, I was about to compare Jez to, I guess, I'm more like, I anchor the music, so I'm like John Bonham, and Jez is probably more like Robert Plant, or
I've got the hair.
He's a freewheeler, if you will. He doesn't know he knows no bounds.
Absolutely.
Brilliant.
Sadly. So, what's your favourite video you've made then?
There's a couple out there. I mean, the first one, the first ever one, the Ipswich, would always be one of the favourites. That's what kick-started it.
Yeah.
In terms of other ones, I think the one I sort of rewatched them. I don't tend to rewatch them on videos because once it's out there, it's out there.
Yeah.
But the one I've rewatched the most is probably when we beat Huddersfield 7-0 because
Yeah, I
that's
remember that game.
because what I like is I've got more
Hello, mate,
goals,
you right?
more content to work
Yes.
with, and I can just make it all interesting. And obviously with it being lockdown, I've got more time. And 7 goals against Huddersfield, that I had a lot to work with. And obviously with Twitter videos only being 2 minutes, 20 seconds long, it's sort of trying to squeeze it in, but I think I've done an alright job with it. And, that was probably one of the better ones. And I suppose obviously in recent times, the last video I've done obviously against Ipswich, we beat them 1-0. That's probably a decent video, I'd say, but I'd say they're my top 3 really.
No, that's good. That's good. I think it's always really interesting to hear people talk about the content they create on in relation to Norwich, because this whole thing that we're embarking on now is some kind of journey. So I kind of understand a little bit as to where you come from. So have you had a reaction from a player or the club about anything you've put out?
Definitely have done, yeah. I think the only one I'm aware of was, of course, Ono Hernandez.
Okay.
He's always very big with being online with his TikTok and all that.
Yeah.
It was more early when I first started doing them. I think he did see the first ever video because I think someone else posted on Instagram because I didn't have Instagram at the time, and I think he sort of commented like laugh emojis, and I thought, oh, he's actually watched it. Like, fair enough. Like, wow. And he's seen a couple others as well because I think there was one time Talk Norwich City must have reposted it.
Whoa! We don't advertise other podcasts on this channel, Jack. Jeez. I'm kidding. It's fine.
Yeah, it would have been a one time they posted ages ago, and I think when he had Twitter, he retweeted it, and I was like, whoa, he's actually seen them again. Like, fair enough. But they're the only ones I've really encountered with. I don't think many have seen them, or if they have, then they wouldn't really make it obvious, really, because obviously they've got to be professional and that. But Onell's the only one I'm aware of.
Yeah, he loves his socials. He loves the club. It is good to see, obviously. Really, it's really cool that he gets involved in that side of things and is closer to fans than I think many other footballers.
Absolutely,
yeah. I think obviously owing to his background. I've been to Cuba on holiday before, and it's a great country, and obviously I think also steeped in quite a lot of poverty, and when you're in Anel's kind of case, you go to Germany and you become a professional footballer and do that well. I think he's super grateful to where he's come from and probably to proud to kind of have achieved what he's done, but also feel like he has a home in Norfolk and Norwich. So so it is good to see. I mean, I remember a few seasons ago, every time that Vancic scored a goal, I was like, I'd comment on Instagram, my boy, and like a few times, like he recognized, he started to recognize my comments and sort of liked them. And it became like a little sort of like thing, but it's good to see. I think obviously with social media, things can get lost in the waves, if you will, but when you get that little bit of appreciation, or when you're sort of standing on the shoulders of giants, if you will, it does feel, I'm sure for yourself, I'm sure you feel happy. It gives you some kind of buoyancy,
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, it just sort of makes it surreal. Like obviously they're not different people, obviously, footballers, but it's just like with how the lives they live, and obviously us normal people, how we have our lives. It's just strange to see like things like that happening, and obviously as I say, it makes you happy, and I think it's sort of when you bring back on to when you mentioned about Ranches. I think my mate Jacob, who was a massive Lucas Rock fan, bigger than me when he created the whole LRIS back in the day, and he would obviously be very vocal on Instagram, and Lucas would obviously sort of recognise Jacob, with some of the comments, be like, "Oh, you're doing great, mate." And obviously, again, it's great, it's crazy, but also lovely to see. Obviously, footballers recognising their big fans. It's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I think that again, we've covered this on previous podcasts that will go out, but I think that with Norwich, it's such a community focused club that sort of like element of star stratosphere is kind of taken away a little bit, and people can kind of get to know, I suppose, their heroes in a way that you might not at Liverpool or a Chelsea or a Man City. And I think that sort of level of fan interaction, it really means a lot to a lot of people and the fan base, and keeps people on side with turbulent times like we're going through at the moment, I think. So actually, I've got a good quip about Lucas Rupp. His brother lived next door to a friend of mine in Hackney.
Oh, wow.
A few years ago, and I think that Dan and Matt Conlon, if you ever listen to this, shout out to you, Matt. But his brother gave Lucas Rupp's boots and some merchandise to Matt, because they lived next door. So it's quite funny how the tentacles of Norwich, they stretch far and wide.
Yes.
So what's the funniest or strangest thing that's happened within your videos?
I think one that springs to my mind was the whole fart grave sort of thing. Because obviously that clip with him, I can't remember who was doing the throw-in, but he was mimicking someone.
It was Yanulis.
There's a theme with Yanulis in this episode. Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, because obviously that clip of him just pretending to do the throw-in, and I thought, can I make something funny out of this? And I tried my best. I'm not the greatest at Premiere Pro, but I gave it a go, and I thought, let's make him dance. And then obviously people caught on to it like in the middle of the video, and then obviously people liked it. And then obviously I remember his next presser, Barker mentioned about like, I'm aware of the video. People thought that he'd seen my video, but I think what obviously he meant was he's seen the original video of him just mimicking the throw-in. But obviously I was kind of like, well, I don't think he actually meant my one. But if that ever happened, obviously the club can't confirm that, but that would have been crazy if he did. But I think that sort of wouldn't have gone viral massively, but I think that would have been the one of the funnier ones, and strange at the same time as well. But that's the one that springs to my mind, really.
Yeah.
It was the Benny Benassi song, wasn't it? Satisfaction.
That's
Benny
it. Yeah.
Benassi, yeah.
Just having that music and just
and the disco lights.
The disco lights, yeah, and then having did I have I think Ono would have been dancing, and I think Chris Reeve when he did the TNC Shanty, the little light, and
yes.
And obviously my personal favourite, Jordan Hugel dancing. Although he was doing it with at Preston, I just Jordan Hugel was always a cult hero of mine. I think I just abused him so much with his Come On You Iron clip, and all the bubbles and his dance. Again, chaotic videos.
Yeah, a player who clearly loves who loves having fun with the game, I think. Yeah, he was a good player for us, I think. I know that he didn't pull up trees, but I think having someone like that in the dressing room probably meant a lot, at those difficult times. Jez, thanks for joining us. I felt like it was Beyond the Morgan, this podcast.
You were handling it well, from what I could hear. So well done.
Which wasn't beyond my expertise. Jez, did you want to ask the next question, or do you want me to carry on?
Are we up to 6?
We are up to 6.
Okay, Jack. If you could collaborate with one Norwich player, past or present, on the video, who would it be and why?
Ooh, that's tricky. It's tricky to think of one.
We'll go with 3. When someone says that, we always go, let's have a top 3.
All right then. Okay. Well, obviously, with being the namesake, it'd be nice to sort of meet Alex Tettey. I've met him a few times. Obviously, he's in my profile picture, but
Yeah.
it would be cool just to sort of chat all things Norwich and all that. I'll have to say Ono Hernandez, but definitely again, because obviously with how he is, obviously he seems like great fun, and that'd be just good content. Whatever we do, like obviously all the funny TikTok shoots he's done before. A third one, oh, who would it be? It's tough. I'd have to say Pookie. I've never met him before. It'd be lovely to say that I've met him. What do we do? Just like a nice sit down, have a chat about all his goals, watch his highlights. It just
Go to Legoland.
Go to Legoland, yeah. Just, anything what he wants to do, I'll just tag along with him. That'd be nice.
What about you, Jez?
Well, as you know, the dream for me is Brian Gunn, isn't it? Getting Brian Gunn on. I think that will be the highlight of my
life
podcasting career. I was going to say, but of what it is, yeah.
Yeah, I'd probably end up having to ask all the questions, wouldn't I? Again.
You would, because I would. Yeah, I mean, I'd literally just melt into the ground, to be honest. So, I wouldn't be able to handle it. To be honest,
I can support you. Mine would be Tim Closer. I think, and I've mentioned this a few times because I think Tim Closer's got a culture to him. He has this air of cultured human, and I think it'd be really interesting to get his take on all things football, all things culture. It would be really, I think it'd be really fun. I mean, if I wanted to throw the cat amongst the pigeons, I'd go on a road trip with Todd Cantwell. So it would be Huey and Todd hit the road is what I'd call it. And we'd go from John O'Groats to Land's End on a tandem, and the hijinks would ensue, no doubt. His hair billowing in the wind, my quiff kind of just taking it a little bit, but stopping at various. It sounds like an Alan Partridge note to self, doesn't it? Sort of like stopping at interesting historical places on the way, and I could teach Todd a little bit about the history of England.
That sounds a great idea. That is.
Yeah, I mean, I've pitched these ideas to Todd's agent in the past, but they don't seem to reply. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So 7. Do you have a match day routine, whether at Carrow Road or watching from home? I mean,
I mean, I don't really have a main routine. Sometimes it varies. What's happened before the game. Most of the time these days, I've been getting the football bus. Shout out the number 1 bus from Hull all the way to Norwich. I normally tend to get on that with my sister because she's
Sanders coach massive.
Sanders, that's it. Yeah, I started. She started going to games a couple of seasons ago, and I sort of got up with her and all that. Sometimes if anyone's available, or my mates, I'll meet them in Queen of Iceni, classic place.
Coach Nortons, sorry.
Yeah, we finished up there the other day.
Mostly for me, if I know someone who's an away fan,
right.
So I go there if I know anyone, who's gone just for that day. I mean, it just varies. I mean, obviously the most recent home game, other than obviously the midweek Preston derby, I had work, so I had to finish at 12:30, and I had to hop on the bus. So of course that's one example. And sometimes with evening games, someone who I know of part of Lighthouse, big up Lighthouse in Sheringham. He normally offer me a lift up there, and he'll pick me up and go off and park all the way up Harvey Lane, and long walk down to Carrow Road. Just another different routine, but it's just whatever happens, I change up a bit,
Yeah, I mean, I do some yoga stretches because I can't be dealing with sitting in a chair for that long, so it hurts my lower back. So I do some cat cow, some child's pose, some cobra on a mat.
Fair play.
I mean, if not, it's the fast 8 from Durham to Norwich, which isn't actually that fast. And I sort of just listen to soothing.
The most ironic name of a bus ever, right?
I hate the fast 8. Anyway, I listen to soothing music to get me in the mood because it's, otherwise I'm too anxious. Jez, what about you?
My match day routine.
Yes.
How long have we got? Because I'll be honest. Well, I'll be honest. I usually end up leaving because I live in Hertfordshire, Jack.
Yeah.
So I end up probably leaving about, depending on time the kick-off, obviously, say it's a standard 3 o'clock Saturday game, I'll leave for maybe sort of 10, half 10. I sometimes take lowercase p to the game with a mate who lives in Stevenage. Lowercase p is a Pinkham poster, by the way, just in case you wondered. And yeah, we'll aim to get to Norwich for about sort of 12, half 12. Either go to the Wigan Pen or Coach and Horses for a little swift half, and then mosey on down to the game really. So yeah, that's pretty much my match day routine. I'll be honest, I'm never really in much before about 2 minutes to 3.
Yeah.
No lucky sock combo or anything like that. It's just pure sort of adulation of the team. Sorry, carry on, Morgan.
That's why we've been performing poorly recently, because if there's no lucky sock pant routine,
Disgusting.
No pre-match lunges.
No.
But yeah, I mean, it's all. I think the people who have those pre-match routines laid out is fantastic. I love the psychology behind having a lucky pair of pants or a lucky hat or whatever. I just love it. I love that sort of yeah. It's slightly off the key, but it's good. It's good fun.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's me, innit?
It's question 8, the revisit of the famous video of Delia question.
Okay, so Jack, let's revisit the famous video of Delia Smith saying, "Where are you? Let's be having you," instead of the often quoted nonsense spouted by every funny man the world over. What would you have preferred to say in that situation, and why?
Ooh. It's quite tough, that. I haven't really thought about that, really. I think it's just because it's been that long. I mean, it's been, 20 years now, I think?
Oh, yeah, getting that way. Yeah, very close to being 20 years, yeah.
I don't know,
Yeah.
The way it all sort of happened, obviously, just going a bit of a tough time in the Premier League, it's just, what else could she have said? Like, something could have been said differently, like, more, quotable in a way. I don't know. I mean, it's just obviously, it's just become part of Norwich now. And yeah, it's not really that funny these days. It's just like, yeah, right, whatever, haha, funny.
Taxi drivers.
I don't know. I don't know what else you could say really. I mean, I'm not saying Let's Be Having You is that bad. I mean, I suppose don't fix what ain't broke, but I don't know. I'm not sure really.
I've thought about it because I came up with a question.
Right.
Fair enough.
Well, you probably had, to be fair. Yeah, go on.
Frozen yogurt. Frozen yogurt. Surely it's just ice cream.
I mean, it was certainly a passionate speech from the heart, wasn't it? I think
Absolutely.
Yeah, she came out with something similar. I don't know if you remember this, Jack, but Morgan, I think you certainly will, when we brought Darren Huckabee, and it was a bit like the famous George W. Bush speech. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got him. And that's exactly what Delia portrayed in that situation. She sort of walked out with Michael Wynne-Jones with Huckabee, and it was almost like, I'm sort of doing my. It doesn't really work on an audio podcast, but I'm sort of showing hands producing him sort of thing, and that I think she got such a buzz off that when we were. It was. I think we were 2-0 up that game, so I don't really know why she did come out and do that, but or at least it was 2-1. But
I think it was 2-2.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe because I know we went 2-0 up because it was Ashton scored that ridiculous goal.
Yes, yeah.
And then yeah, you're probably right actually. I mean, Robbie Fowler scored at least a couple in that game for Man City. But yeah, I don't know really what really was going on. I think I think that was the help me out, inspiration. That was the inspiration, was the Huckabee moment.
Yeah.
Sort of a few seasons, well, the season previous, I suppose it would have been, wouldn't it? Because he came in sort of Christmas time of the previous year as a permanent Norwich player, that is. So yeah, I don't know, Morgan, to be honest, what else. I'm with Jack on that. What else you could have said, and my preceding sort of 20 years of Norwich City supporting life, and every time I've gone abroad and someone's seen my Norwich shirt and, oh, you're a Norwich fan, are you? Probably not so Norfolk as that, but because they might probably from up north somewhere, but and then they go, where are ya? And I'm like, yeah, I've heard that one about 300 million times. Cheers, mate. So yeah, maybe she could have promoted her latest book at the time. I don't know, sort of had it in her hand, sort of thing, and gone, look, this is how to cook this Christmas from Delia Smith. $4.99 in good Waterstones and Gerald's.
$4.99, more like $12.99.
Well, yeah, we go back 20 years.
I mean, 2005 would have been that price, maybe.
No, I don't think so. Books are expensive, $8.99.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't really read, so I wouldn't know.
I don't think I care enough. Okay, all right. So moving on to the next question. I don't think you're ready for this, Jack, because I'm certainly not. If we're talking about famous fans of football clubs right now,
right,
and we've got our fair share. So have Ipswich. So if Ed Sheeran and Ed Balls had an Ed off, who would be the best Ed and why?
Oh dear. I mean, I didn't expect this on my 2025 bingo card, this.
I'm going to die a happy man. I came up with this out of nowhere.
I mean, if we're being realistic, if in terms of singing, Ed Sheeran's probably the winner, but in terms of dancing, Ed Balls being on Strictly clears the floor. He'd be the winner there. You'd have to back your own and say Ed Balls is the winner. I mean, who could forget the iconic tweet he did in like 2011? Just his own name, Ed Balls. It's end of April. It's Ed Balls Day. It's still celebrated to this day by many.
I mean, by the time this podcast comes out, it might be Ed Balls Day. So this wasn't intentional by any stretch of the imagination.
You'll be missing a trick if you don't release it on Ed Balls Day. You have to double check what day it is. It's an idea. You don't have to go for it, but
Jez is in charge of releasing. I mean, for me, I think that I haven't seen Ed Sheeran kick a ball, but Ed Balls has kicked balls. I've seen him play, and not in real life, but I've seen photos of him, so he knows what he's doing with the ball. Of course he would. It's in his name. But he sort of had governance over the country. I guess in a way, Ed Sheeran has governance over the country as well. But am I allowed to say that, Jez? I don't know. So we're in agreement then. I think Ed Balls over Ed Sheeran. Balls over Sheeran.
Yeah, I think overall, Ed Balls will be the main winner.
Yeah, I mean we're going to say that anyway, aren't we?
But you break it down. You break it down from top to bottom, don't you? Like hairstyle, Ed Balls. Eyes, Ed Balls. Football shirt or general attire, Ed Balls. Something a little bit lower, Ed Balls. Because I mean, let's face it. Didn't Ed Balls go out with one of the cheeky girls?
Did he?
I would have no ideas. I can't clarify.
Let's remember the time of this because we might have to edit out. But I'm almost certain he was with one of the cheeky girls.
Well, I mean, how cheeky is that?
So, I mean, that alone should really top trump Sheeran.
Cats on the pigeons there, yeah.
Yeah. For a cat,
Did you
just say
did it?
a cat amongst the balls?
Yeah, all that. Yeah, I think that's a better analogy, I suppose.
Did Ed Balls ever interrupt Sky Sports during an interview with Man United's manager? No.
Yeah. We have standards in Norwich, you know.
Well,
Yeah.
Ed Sheeran bought his first multi-pedal from a music shop in Norwich. I'm apparently I've heard, so clearly he felt better going up to Norwich to buy his musical equipment.
I think that's what most people from Suffolk do. They like to come up Norwich sometimes. You know, that just says everything, really. You see us going down Suffolk to Ipswich for a day out.
unless there's rail disruption and you get stuck there. Oh, it's happened many times. Anyway, Anglia,
Can you flush the toilet here, please?
Abellio, Anglia. If you're listening
No,
to this,
I'll tell you who it was that dated the cheeky girls. Is that Lembit Opig? Was what his name was? He was a Lib Dem guy.
I don't know, Jez, but we're getting to the nitty gritty of politics, and we can't. This is a family podcast.
It's not very politics into podcast work.
Yeah, true. Especially Norwich City podcast work as well.
Exactly.
Moving up. Pardon?
So 10.
Is this me?
Yeah.
Okay. So, well, yeah, because then it leads into the random question of the week, which everyone's looking forward to. So, finally, Jack, what's next for Totally Tettey? Any big plans for future videos?
Yeah, I'm always in life. I've never really known what to do for the future and all that. I mean, I've not posted. I've not posted a video in nearly a year, and it's just most of the time it's just I've got no time really with working full time. But I wouldn't say the videos are done. Just one day I might,
You're a tease.
Yeah, might get back on Premiere Pro. I mean, I could easily do a season review of this season, just because I've not done anything at all. And like, there's times I could have done a video like beating Swansea 5-1. There's plenty of goals content, but it's just it's just timing really, and I wouldn't say motivation, just how long it takes sometimes.
Jack, Can you please do a Beyond the Barclay Totally Tettey match-up video, please?
Ooh, I'll have to do my best. How do I do it?
Well, I can send you recordings.
Fair enough.
They're all PG.
Yeah, apart from the sort of balls bit, but yeah. I mean, it's not the end of that. It's just sometimes there's ideas really, and just I don't like to repeat too many like sort of me. Well, I've had a habit of doing that with certain things, but I don't think I'm over Jordan Hugo leaving. I think
you need to get over that. It's been a while.
He was always a good sort of for content, but I think it's just the whole lockdown helped me just sort of broaden my horizons with random things. But
I mean, what is there to do in Sheringham, Jack? Let's face it.
There's plenty of stuff. The food's decent. This time of the year it's not the greatest with obviously weather and all that, but once it's summertime, the beach is kicking up, and there's a few shops to go around and all that.
There's only so much candy floss you can eat, Jack. Come on, pull your finger out. We've been waiting for TT.
We're not Blackpool here. There's no candy floss really. Let's not take the Michael here.
I think that leads nicely into the random question of the week.
Ooh, good jingle there.
I know. I mean, I do it every single week. So, as we all know, no Tettey, no party. But if you were on a Broads boat, on a party boat on the Broads with Alex Tettey, you've had some hooch, and you don't know where you're going. Maybe you're going upstream, downstream. I don't really know much about the Broads, but there's a wherry in front of you. Avoid that if you can. But who would be your party captain from the Norwich squad, past and present, and why?
Oh, that's a very good question.
Well, I know it's why it's the random question of the week. Takes me.
Well, yeah, of course. Ooh. It's trying to pinpoint who'd be the best party animal. Like, do you think who in the current squad would be good enough?
McLean.
Kenny McLean's a great shout, with the find some Mad Dog 2020 then, and he's all over it.
And Buckfast.
Yeah, and Buckfast, yeah. But if you're thinking about past, I mean, I've heard stories about Wes Houlihan from previous other comments from other past players, or even Grant Holt. He seems like he's got he's good night in him. I think he'd probably have to be. Yeah, if I had to pick one from present, one past, Kenny McLean definitely for present. Past Grant Holt.
Yeah, what an absolute combo that would be. Yeah,
that lead into the early hours of the next morning.
I think I'd probably get off the party boat and go home sensibly on the fast 8. Jess, what about you? Who would you choose?
I knew you were going to ask me this.
Well, that's the whole point of this random question. I always pass it over.
You do, and that's becoming a bit of a quote, isn't it? I knew you were going to ask me this. Right, let's have a think about this. So, let's set the scene. So, we've just left Wroxham on this party boat. Yeah. There's some hooch on board, did you say?
I did.
Right. And we're heading to... Let's go with Horning, because Horning seemed like not that far, but far enough to kind of, get suitably... tipsy, I suppose. Can you tell I'm stalling a little bit just to try and think of
I can. You're setting the scene. It's nice. It's also great for listeners at home.
Good. There's a few ducks just floating around in the depths of the reeds. I'm really setting this scene, aren't I?
You really are. You really are.
Yeah.
I'm getting seasick. You're setting the scene that much.
Okay, so Carl Bradshaw.
Okay. Why?
Because he was a bit of a hard man, if we remember correctly.
Okay.
So if we got any jip off any pensioners that were on another party boat, he would just be able to step in and sort it all out.
Right.
I would have a goalkeeper that was good at throwing. Help me out. Who was our best goalkeeper that was good at throwing?
John Ruddy.
He was quite good, wasn't he? So let's go with John Ruddy.
Yeah.
Because when we needed to moor up, you quite often need to chuck the rope, don't you, onto the thing?
That's true.
So you'd have him there just to sort of, he'd be your rope man.
Yeah.
And
was it 3 or was it 2?
It was 2.
Well, there you go. John Ruddy and Carl Bradshaw. Done.
Okay.
I'd have
Chris Sutton. I'd have Chris Sutton because my love for Chris Sutton just generally. And we'd probably float on by his river house and pick up some more beers. So he's kind of sensible. He's the kind of sensible guy that I'd like on a party boat, just so you don't tip over that and do a party foul. When things are going slightly awry, there's always one person that just goes, you know what, guys? No. So Chris Sutton for me, just to keep things in line. And of the current squad, I would probably say Josh Sargent, because he's American and he loves probably drinking IPAs. I don't know, but I reckon it'd be quite fun to have a beer with.
Yeah, good.
Fair play.
I think that's
it, really.
Yeah, Jack. Thank you so much for coming on.
It's thanks for having me on.
You're a personal hero of mine, or at least your YouTube channel is. So it kind of suits that you are as well. And thank you for. Do you know what it was? Right, I think there was a lot of people probably watched your videos during lockdown. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
And you put a smile on the face of a lot of people, including me. I think you had to. Yeah, I think and I think that's one of those ones where it's just all of those sort of. I think you mentioned Josh Sargent earlier with whenever he scored, you just played the Team America theme tune and all of that. It was little things like that which just made your video so special. So no, thanks once again.
No worries. Thanks for having me on. It's been a pleasure having a chat.
No, brilliant. And is there anyone you want to say hello to, but do a little shout out to?
I don't want to pick out anyone specific, but just say hello to everyone. Or, anyone of my friends and family listening on. If I'm obviously, getting them to listen on to the Beyond the Barclay podcast. Hello everyone. Hope everyone's all doing great. Keep on positive. Times are tough sometimes, and just it's good to reach out to everyone. And if times are tough, there's better days ahead. And up the nodge.
Up the nudge. Yeah, I like that as well. Very Phyllis, very good. Morgan, anything else from you before we depart the airwaves?
No, I mean, thanks for listening to everyone as always, and apologies if you've had to endure my terrible humour. But Jack, it's been an absolute pleasure meeting you virtually, of course, and hearing your experiences on producing content. And again, if anyone's listening to this and thinking, could I do content? Could I produce it? If me and Jez, a pair of numpties, can do it, you can do it. So get on it. Tomorrow starts today.
Brilliant.
Jack, just before I know we're labouring it here a little bit, but have you given your YouTube channels? How do people find your videos essentially?
Obviously, Totally Tettey is my name on Twitter, so that's my main sort of, I would say, platform. That's what I use the most. YouTube's the same name, although it's been collecting dust in the past 10 months.
Mm-hmm.
They're the only socials I have really. I mean, I don't touch Instagram anymore. That's dead and buried.
Right.
Same name, Totally Tettey. Simple as that.
Good. Excellent. So, just for everyone else listening at home, you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and X, and the aforementioned YouTube. You can now listen to all of our podcasts on that platform. Thank you so much for listening. We look forward to speaking to everyone soon. I've been Jez Davies.
I've been somewhere between torn and sanity.
That's it for this episode of Beyond the Barclay. Thanks so much for listening. Your support means the world to us. Don't forget to follow or subscribe on your favorite podcast platform and leave a review if you enjoyed the show. You can also catch all our episodes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. And if you've got any questions, stories, or topics you'd like us to cover, get in touch. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time, on the ball, City.